Let's get to the cringe story. The cringe. And that's being nice. Cringe is being nice. I didn't think cringe. I thought creepy. For those who missed it, Gregg Doyel, columnist. Now think about this. The columnist for the Indianapolis Star. And I know we're in a new era of sports journalism where it's not just, hey, print people over there and radio people over there and TV, linear TV. We got podcasts, we got streamers, we've got multimedia people. That's what we all do. That's what most of us do in this business. We're not just doing one thing. But back in the day, you're a sports columnist for the papers like the Indianapolis Star and Chicago Tribune and Sun-Times, Boston Globe, Dallas Morning News, LA Times. Like, you're the sports columnist. You are the voice. I mean, you are the voice of the city. That is a big position. And Gregg Doyel, Indianapolis Star, Indy Star sports columnist, is not allowed to cover Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. He can't be there in person. It's almost like it really isn't. It's like a creep thing. Like, listen, if we see you around the building, if we see you around, we gonna call. Like, you can't be within 200 yards, bro. Like, he can't cover. The leading media person in the city can't cover the leading star in the city. Why can't he do that? Well, take a listen to this, and then we'll talk about it on the other side. Here's Gregg Doyel at a Caitlin Clark introductory press conference.
Hi, Caitlin. Gregg Doyel, Indy Star. Real quick, let me do this.
You like that?
I like that you're here. I like that you're here.
I do that at my family after every game, so
okay,
well,
let's start doing it to me, and we'll be able to get along just fine. You just were given the keys to that. What are you going to do with it?
What am I going to do with them? Hopefully, we're going to win a lot of games to start. She's going to help us out with that.
My man puts up the heart. He puts up the little Caitlin Clark at a press conference, then says, do that to me. Like, she said, okay, I can't, the word I just can't get away from the word creepy, because Terrika, she said, I do that to my family. To my family. You're not my family. Okay, I do that to my family. And then he says, well, you do it to me. What are you suggesting? What are you saying? What is wrong with you?
Even if you wanted to ask her about it, just ask her about, like, why not just say, hey, we noticed that at the end of every game, you throw up a heart symbol. Can you explain to us what that means? Or can you explain to us why you do? If you wanted to know why, just ask. Like, you are a weirdo. That's weirdo energy.
But it's worse. It's worse than that, though. It's worse than being. Yeah, it is. It is a weirdo thing. But you think about, and this is where he's got to understand, because I saw him tweet. He was writing, hey, I went through anger and then some kind of some denial, and then I've kind of accept that I'm part of the problem. Yes, you're part of the problem. The reason you're part of the problem is something that is old as the country itself. Is sexism. It's just sexism, and you got to address it. Now, think about any athlete who does a thing. So if it's Steph Curry, with the night, or pointing to the sky. Any athlete who has something, LeBron James, a certain dance or a certain symbol after a big play that they do, a routine over and over. Whether it's like KG before every game used to run down and put his head on the stanchion and then pound his chest. And a reporter wouldn't do that. A male or female reporter would go to a press conference and do that thing to that player. because you would be seen as a clown or a fool. Okay, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't think to do it because you say, I know I respect my position too much, and I also respect their position. What you're saying here, Gregg Doyel's case is, yeah, maybe you respect your position, but you don't respect hers. You think it's something different. You think it's different than professional sports. You think it's just a game, or you think it's cute. And so you're approaching it, you've got your whole mindset is wrong. And this is not just a Gregg Doyel problem. This is a problem with many mainstream media members who are now covering women's basketball, especially at the professional level. This is pro basketball. The coaches are the coaches are smart. The coaches are at a different level. These are not just, hey, I'm a woman and I just want to work with young girls. No, these are adults. These are pros. They study it. It's their craft. Everything that they do kind of comes back to their craft. So things that they eat, the way that they train, what they study, just like males. However, some people haven't gotten the memo yet. Nope. Terrika, some people haven't gotten the memo.
You're absolutely correct. And I'm going to take it a step further and say, this is why mainstream media needs to hire and needs to attain more professional writers who have been in the WNBA game for a long time now. I say that because what we're doing is we're taking folks just because they write for the Indianapolis Star or whoever, we're taking folks and we're just throwing them in. So you don't know the culture of the WNBA. You don't know the players of the WNBA. You don't know the other media members who've been covering the WNBA for a long time, or even regularly enough to have gained the respect of WNBA players, coaches, and league executives. You don't know any of this. And this is the problem. We're going to get half stories. You're going to get half, you're not going to get the quality of work that you have received with grassroots organizations and grassroots writers who have built their name in the trenches of covering the WNBA. Because it's so popular now, you just want to throw anybody in there. You want to throw everybody in. And there are two people who I know who work in Indianapolis who have been covering Fever basketball long enough to where Gregg Doyel didn't even need to be there. Why is he even here? He's here because he's the leading name, because he's the leading voice, because he's the main thing, right? But the main thing ain't gave a damn about the Indiana Fever and the existence of the Indiana Fever. So why now? To me, that's problematic. I love the fact that more outlets are going to start paying attention and covering the WNBA, but they absolutely need to ensure that the people that are doing it on their behalf are people who have been and care about the sport. And if that means you need to go and hire the person who's been out here covering it for her blog for the last 15 years, but has done so effectively, efficiently, and has gained and garnered the respect of her WNBA peers, players, and league executives, then that's who you need to get. And I don't understand how that's so difficult. There are some writers, there are some reporters, there are some people who have been waiting for this sport to get to a place where the work that they've put in to ensure that their coverage is available, they've been waiting for these opportunities. And instead, you just gonna throw them to anybody just because. You're just gonna throw it to anybody. I've never seen Gregg Doyel at a Fever press conference. I was in that press conference. I was there to watch that introductory thing happen, and I was cringing the entire time because who are you? Where have you been? If this was an Indianapolis Colts press conference, I get it. A Pacers press conference, I get it. We never seen you here. And when you are invited to the cookout, you do some weirdo stuff. I implore you outlets to please stop getting any and everybody just because they have a name. These women deserve better. It's very similar to how there are certain people who I never see talk about the WNBA, but Lord, let free agency come. Y'all got all the tweets in the world. people, because there are folks who just feed you info because you have the name, because you have the following. But you know what? People don't care about what y'all are saying or coming from because you're disingenuous, because you do not care about this sport. You just have the name, you just have the following, and therefore people think it will reach more folks if you guys say it or do it or tweet it or whatever. But the truth is, there are so many men and women who have dedicated themselves to ensuring that the WNBA gets the accurate and fair coverage that it deserves. Promote them, talk to them, give them an opportunity. Right. Leave the Gregg Doyels at home.
Listen, well, I agree with that, but this is the last thing I'll say about this. And I would just like, to the Indianapolis Star, I would like, take us behind the curtain. Take us behind the curtain for a second and just kind of explain, like your math teacher used to say, show your work, okay? Show your work. Just tell us how you arrived at this decision and what it means going forward. Because yeah, it sounds good. Gregg Doyel can't cover the Indiana Fever this year. And there are rumors that he's getting a 2-week, he's connected to that as a 2-week suspension.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say the Indiana Fever season is over. Let's say the 2-week suspension is over. What's your message? What's your takeaway that your columnist, your big columnist, could not cover the big event in town? See, once again, this is why I want to talk about, just look at it big picture. Don't look at it just as a women's basketball issue. It's a story issue. Your columnist, your number one, it's the hardest job at the paper, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Number one guy at the paper can't cover the number one story in town. So what's the message? Let's say it's a Colt. You mentioned the Colts. What if he couldn't cover the Pacers? Let's say the Pacers, we're going to talk about them next. The Pacers beat the Knicks and he couldn't write about it? Wouldn't that be strange for the fans and strange for the paper? So I'm saying, what are you trying to get at? And if this is the issue with your number one guy, I think you maybe have to question who your number one guy is.
One guy is. Yeah. We agree. We totally agree. We 100% agree. We 100% agree.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.